What's up, guys? We're playing against Turkmenistan today and I'm taking rest, which is pretty logical. Usually if a player has a tough game and especially if he loses, it's good to have a rest. That's why also the whole 5-player concept is there, so that people can just change up. With 11 rounds being the tournament format, it can be pretty tough, yeah, if all 4 players have to play all games. So I'm pretty happy about that. I will also go there as a coach, which is pretty funny because we have a coach who usually goes there, but he's been there all of the days now and only came back to the hotel at like 10 p.m. because he had to wait for all the games to finish on our team. So he's pretty exhausted already, and it's possible to give the coach badge. I will just show it to you. The captain badge here. Give it to another player. So he named me as the captain today. So I will accompany the team there, and which is also cool because I can then take some footage there and show you some behind the scenes stuff from the tournament venue. So looking forward to that. Yeah, now I'm just checking some openings for my team. Usually the person who does not play also can help with preparation. So yeah, I will keep you posted and then see you later. So as I've already mentioned, since I was not playing today, I had some time and resources to make some videos here, some footage from the playing hall. Here you can see us walking from the bus to the playing hall, so it's kind of a small walk here, which is not a problem unless it's raining and you don't have an umbrella with you, but otherwise it's totally fine. As you can see, there are already many people waiting in front of the playing venue to get autographs from the players, to get pictures. And yeah, here you enter to the playing hall, and then to the right, which you now don't see, is the checking to the for the security that no one will cheat. So they're very thorough when it comes to this. And then I went to the FIDE exhibition, to the Expo 2024, because FIDE has the 100-year anniversary. So they put up a great exhibition here. It's kind of like a museum. You can walk around, and there are many shops where you can buy some stuff. Of course, only chess related. So many chess boards, many chess books. I saw all sorts of things there. Chess boards, of course. The atmosphere is really cool. So it's very welcoming for visitors as well, to just take a look here. So this, I think they did very nicely, and they put a lot of effort into this. And yeah, now you can see how everything is looking here. It is kind of like a museum, as I said. There's also like a photo booth, which you now didn't see. And here was like a very nice movie, which I did not fully look at, but it was like an interview with Michael Tal, which I will now not comment the rest of. You can simply watch it, and he gave some very funny answers as usual for him. So very interesting to see what he had to say about blindfold exhibitions, and also his personal anecdote here was quite humorous. Apart from the exhibition, the organizers also provided a room to visitors to just play chess. So a very spacious room where you can simply sit down and play chess with other people. And of course, also they have a FIDE merch store where they sell all sorts of things, like mugs, some other things, and mostly, of course, clothing. So some hoodies, some T-shirts with the FIDE logo on it, and some nice slogans as well. Chess is here to stay. Things like this. The prices are a bit extreme in my opinion, at least for the hoodie. It goes for like 50 euros, I think, but it's just part of the deal if you're here and get a nice souvenir, which I will also do. I think it's perfectly fine to invest this money into a nice souvenir. What's up, guys? I just got back from my captain's task today. I was there for like 2 hours. The transfer stuff was again a bit frustrating because it's just always delayed and kind of a mess, but I don't really blame them because it's just really hard to organize everything perfectly in such a huge event. As it goes for the match, it's looking pretty good. Our fourth board is completely winning. Third board already ended in a draw. The second board now, Markus Rugger, our former 2700 player, is starting to look a bit more like a draw now. He had a bigger advantage before, but yeah, he still has some chances, and on board one we're better. I'm a bit worried there still because our board one player, Valentin Dragnev, is a bit low on time, but I'm confident that he will at least not lose it, probably even win it. So yeah, I'm still looking at all the games, still rooting for my team, and I'll see you in the recap, which of course I don't want to leave out for today, even though I didn't play today. So see you then. The good thing about having a rest day is that I could finally hit the gym again. Today was leg day, which is not particularly my favorite, but it's still important for me to work out all body parts. And I started out with just some squats, where I always try to go deep, and also focus on the form. I don't want to go that heavy when it comes to weight, specifically with squats, because as I said, I just want to focus on the form. So going heavy is not most important for me when it comes to that. Then I also did some RDLs, again working the legs and also some of the back. Specifically, I think working out the back when it comes to chess tournaments is really important because you're sitting all day long. So this is what I mostly focus on. And RDLs, by the way, one of my favorite exercises when it comes to working out. I also did some tried doing some pull-ups in the start, then I just thought I will just do some dead hangs and also work out some abs in the meanwhile, and then later on I moved to some other machines. So it was a pretty productive day when it comes to working out. What's up everyone, and welcome again to the chess part of today's recap. And we won the match against Turkmenistan with 2.5 to 1.5, and since I did not play today, I will show you the decisive game of the match, which was played by Valentin Baidetsky, our board 4 today. The rest of the games ended in draws, but we had good positions in almost all of the games. So it was a pretty safe match for us. It even looked like we were gonna win higher. Our board 1 had a great position, our board 2 as well. Board 3 was quite a solid game, but Valentin Badetsky had a great position from the start, so this already gave us like a big psychological advantage to start with. Badetsky was white, he played e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and he had the Italian defense, and his opponent went for this quite modern line with d5, bishop c5 being of course the main line. But d5 has gotten some traction lately, ed5, knight d5, and after castle it always, or at least back in the day, people thought that it would be just kind of a very risky way for black to play because rook e1 will come, the pawn on e5 will become pretty weak, and black is still underdeveloped with his king. But nowadays with the engines, it's been kind of revived this line, and there are some ideas for black, which also the black player prepared. Knight b6, bishop b5. I think also bishop b7 is one line, and after rook e1, f6, if I'm not totally wrong, and d4, some theory here, don't get me wrong, maybe it's knight b6 and then bishop g4. I think there's something like this as well. But knight b6 was played, bishop b5, bishop d6, and now bishop c6, bc6. Valentin played the critical line with knight takes e5, bishop takes e5, and now rook e1. And white will win back the piece because of the pin with the bishop and the king. Still on e8, queen e7. This is still theory. Black was blitzing out, f4. And this is already actually one interesting moment because king h1 is the main move, and according to the computer, it's a better move. But I think Valentin made a very smart decision because he knew the line with king h1 that it might become very very concrete with bishop b7, f4, long castle, and after rook takes e5, black will get some pretty dangerous compensation with queen d7 or queen h4, and then he will open up the bishop with c5, and the bishop on b7 is just a monster. So I think it was a very smart decision by him not to go in this line. So this is what also many strong players do, even if they know the line and they know that two possibilities are playable. Depending on the game situation, they might go for one or the other.
So I think a very smart decision for him to go for f4, which is, I think, a more solid approach. Now bishop d4 check. Black already started to think a bit, but this is still correct. King h1, now bishop e6. Black has to put the bishop here, otherwise he would just lose the queen along the e-file. Now f5, short castle, fe6, and now is the critical moment. And black went a little bit wrong with f takes e6 right away, which looks logical, but according to the computer, knight d5 is more accurate. And the point is now that white cannot develop with knight d2 because there is knight e3, when all of a sudden the queen cannot move because of the knight takes e2. Black would win an exchange here at least. So yeah, therefore knight d5 is more accurate, and something like c3. The game goes on, it's pretty complicated, but white is still somewhat safe. If he gets out his pieces with knight d2, knight f3, sooner or later he might have a more or less safe position. But yeah, black took back fe6 and now knight d2, and now the knight will come to f3 in time. And yeah, knight d5, knight f3 now. Now there is no knight e3 because the bishop on c1 protects the square. And black already went completely wrong here with bishop c5. c5 is the better move, but white is just has a pleasant advantage. I would play something like c3 maybe, or queen e2. I would consider those moves. And the black's pawn structure is simply a huge long-term problem. Pawn on e6 is very weak. Also, these pawns are doubled. So yeah, white has just a super pleasant position here as well. But bishop c5, a big mistake, and now d4 was played by Valentin, a great move. And now the bishop is even more or less trapped. If he goes to b6, something like c4 could also be considered, but also queen e2 or something like this. The pawn on e6 is the target, and sooner or later c4, c5 is an idea when the bishop on b6 doesn't have many more squares left. He went bishop b4, now c3, and now black again decided to make things concrete. If bishop b4, the bishop is also in a very tough spot. Maybe b4 right away works as well, because after knight c3, I guess white has queen b3. Although now I see that queen b4 works, so maybe b4 is a bit too early. Bishop d2 is suggested by the computer, or queen a4. I just see, yeah, this even wins a pawn on the spot with queen c6, and yeah, white is just already probably winning here. So knight c3, his last try, bc3, bishop c3, at least a double attack on both of the rooks. But now rook e3 played by Valentin, again another very good move. Bishop takes a1 and now bishop a3, this was the whole point, and white will win back a lot of material here. Rook takes f3 was tried, and now Valentin went for bishop e7, which is also good enough to have a decisive advantage. The computer says that rook f3 is even more accurate, because now the queen has to move. Let's say queen goes to d7, and now white can simply recapture the bishop on a1, and now white is basically just a clean piece up, which might be easier to convert than what he had in the game. After bishop e7, which happened, rook e3, queen a1, white is still up a lot of material, bishop and the queen against two rooks. But yeah, as I said, this other position with a piece up might have been a bit easier to convert, even though this also, as I said, pretty clean win for white. Yeah, he just played h3, e5. Black tried this, maybe some other move like h6, but probably doesn't do much. White can just play something like bishop c5, consolidate, and then at some point bring the queen in and attack these pawns on the queen side. So e5 was tried, d takes c5, rook e8, bishop c5, and now Valentin just developed his queen c3, otherwise rook e1 would come with a double attack on the king and the queen. So queen c3, now a6, bishop d4. The rest of the game was not that interesting anymore, I would say. Valentin won all of these pawns, and now queen and bishop are just way stronger than both of these rooks. Queen c3, rook e6, a4, queen f3, queen f4, rook d5, queen e4. He moved around a bit, a5. And now also the pawn on a6 is a target, so white has the idea sometimes to go bishop b6 and queen b7 and then pick up the pawn on a6 in some cases. This also works. Rook g5, he went h4. He also played this pretty well, this section of the game, h5, misplacing the rook. And now queen d5, king h7, brought the king. And now black is already kind of in zugzwang. Yeah, the pawn on g7 is also always a target. Maybe black could wait here, but maybe king f4 is even an idea, just protect the bishop. Or maybe queen d7 works right away, because rook e5 queen takes c6 also, or king f4 first, and then to have queen d7 on the next move. Seems like a pretty clean win here. So black tried rook f6, and I guess he wanted to set up a fortress here, but it just doesn't work here with, at least with these pawns here on the board. I guess even if those pawns were not here anymore, white should win this somehow, but then it might be a bit more tricky. So now queen b6, another good idea, because if black takes, this is just winning. White will just queen the pawn in time. Rook f6, and now he went for this pawn endgame, which he evaluated just completely correct. This is just winning with g4, and black is in zugzwang. King e7, king g6. He took this pawn, and yeah, here black resigned, because again he's in zugzwang. If king f8, now king g6 simply, white is 2 pawns up, and if king f6, now king g8, and the pawn h6 will queen. So I would say this is the most important game of the match, since it decided the outcome of the match for us, and a very well played game by Valentin. So yeah, pretty good match overall. Tomorrow we will have a stronger opponent, probably an opponent which is even stronger than our team. So this will be exciting to watch. I hope you enjoyed today's recap. If you do, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and I will see you in tomorrow's recap.